few aspects of the religion. You can choose to be any religion you wish, but the government has the power to limit some of the illegal practices. For example, if your religion requires you to kill or discriminate someone, the government will not allow you to do so. The government can also limit religions in which allow you to do something that is bad for your health, like forbidding you and your children from taking vaccinations, which the government requires you to do. If your religion allows you to sacrifice animals, the government will not allow you to do so because it is cruel to all animals. You also cannot interact with animals like snakes or other wild animals in your home or anywhere else unless you are a trained professional. Events have happened when the government had to step in and use its limitation powers. The equal protection of laws was added to the Constitution to protect people's basic rights. If someone gets paid less for doing the same job as someone else, they can speak up against it. People cannot use the equal protection of laws differently just because of a person's race or skin color. The 14th Amendment was added to the Constitution, which corrected this problem. The 14th Amendment stopped state governments from unfairly discriminating against people of different beliefs and race. Over the years, many people have been segregated. To segregate means to set apart from others. One of the most famous people who was segregated was Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat after a long day of work to a white man, so she was put into jail. The African Americans of the community boycotted the city buses until the city changed the laws. In August 1963, thousands of African Americans marched to support the Civil Rights Movement, which helped influence the passing of the Civil Rights Act that ended segregation. Freedom of expression is very important to the citizens of the United States of America. The Constitution protects the freedom of expression in many ways, but it can also limit those freedoms. Freedom of religion is protected, but can also be restricted if it does any harm. These laws are very essential to us and are stated in the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. They are protected with the equal protection of laws and the Bill of Rights, along with our basic rights. When the Founding Fathers created our nation, they knew that these important and natural rights would create the enthusiasm for the new United States of America to grow strong.
All right, panelists, you will now have 4 minutes to ask follow-up questions.
The Bill of Rights did not guarantee the rights for all people. For example, women and African Americans. You touched on that a bit when you spoke about the 14th Amendment. And how was this corrected?
The Fifth Amendment was added to the Constitution, which states that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. This law was put in the Bill of Rights only for white men. The 14th Amendment states that that African Americans can have the right to vote. The 15th Amendment lets all men become, 14th Amendment states that African Americans can become U.S. citizens, and the 15th Amendment states that no man will be denied the right to vote. Women were not included in this act, but later, when in the 19th Amendment, women could vote.
This is about the freedom of expression. What do you feel are the benefits of freedom of expression?
Freedom of expression allows people to express themselves through speech, press, assembly, and the right to complain about the government. This gives us the right to express our thoughts and feelings through writing and speaking without the fear of getting arrested or even killed. It also gives us the right to assemble peacefully with any group of people that share our interests. We can complain about what we think is unfair in our government, This way, we have an input on the decision-making process our government makes.
So continuing on with the conversation about freedom of expression, is it constitutional for someone to place a sign on their own property saying, "All politicians are crooks"? Why or why not?
Yes, because you have freedom of press, which allows you to write anything that you feel. And the government gives you the right to your own property, which allows you to put up anything on your property that you choose. For example, a neighbor of a disabled person put up a sign that said, "Caution, retarded area." He did not get punished because he has freedom of press.
You just mentioned an example where a disabled person was discriminated against because of freedom of expression. Can you come up with some other examples of times when a disabled person might be discriminated against but might be protected by equal protection, by freedom of expression?
There are times that disabled people are discriminated against because some people think that they cannot do the right jobs and not hire them, but they can probably do it just as well as we can. So there was this one time where a blind employee at Goodwill was being paid, her salary was cut to $2.75 per hour, while her husband, who was not disabled, was being paid $5.40. This was not fair, so they brought it up, and I'm pretty sure that it was fixed.
At this time, please provide feedback to the students.
Well, you certainly gave a thorough primer on freedom of expression, particularly bringing in the exercise and establishment clauses and how they function to protect freedom of expression. Had interesting and very current examples of limitations that the government places upon individual rights, and how the government has that balance of trying to protect all citizens, and yet still protecting the religious rights. And the example of vaccinations, which is very current right now, trying to come up with the proper balance for that. Also, your tie-in with the 14th Amendment was really important to your presentation. Again, strong poise, well-crafted initial answers to your essay questions. Well done.
I want to echo her words and also add that I think your presentation lets us all know how lucky we are to live in this United States of America, above all. I thought that your explanations were great. I thought your examples were good. I thought I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were talking about freedom of expression and freedom of speech, I thought that you mentioned bullying. And I thought, did I hear that? I thought that I heard that was something that we shouldn't accept in our freedom of expression. And if I did hear that, do you recall? I thought I just heard that word come by, and I thought, wow, this is good that you are recognizing that bullying is a way of expressing ourselves, and our freedom of expressing ourselves that is not acceptable. And that was a really good point, and I don't remember which one you did it, but whichever one it was, good for you. So I thought that was excellent. It was a good education of our freedoms. I'm glad that you brought in Rosa Parks, and as Pam said, your examples were very good, and most importantly, that you really hit on all of our basic human rights, and bravo to you. Thank you. So, thank you so much.
much. I think all three of you did a fantastic job. Again, showed a lot of poise and confidence and really knowledge about the amendments. I was very impressed with your explanation of especially the First and 14th Amendment. I thought the Rosa Parks example really highlighted the 14th Amendment. What I really liked about the overall presentation was it went back to the first unit's presentation on common good. And I think you really highlighted through, the limits of freedom of expression and how violence and offensive and racist remarks really need to be curtailed by the government for the common good, for our community, the safety of our people. I thought you did an exceptional job, all three of you, with that. I loved your discussion on freedom of religion and how important it is in this country that we have that ability, but again, when it hurts or maims or kills animals or other people, where that has to be curtailed. So I feel like you had a really great grasp on the main questions, and I really do believe you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
All right, and our final group, Group 5.